Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Turks and Jerks, week 13? 12. Week 12 of the NFL season, an elongated week, Thursday through Monday, 3 games on Thursday. So that meant that if you were watching the late game Sunday, like if you have the Red Zone channel, I'm sure many of you guys watch football via the Red Zone channel. It's almost all I do now. You had the opportunity to watch the Cardinals-Niners or the Seahawks-Steelers. That's it. Just didn't feel like the excitement of Red Zone. Every game. There was a lot of, well, it's 3rd and 9 at the 37. And now we'll check in on this Niners punt.
This is the downside of Red Zone. That's why you've not been addicted to it, which I understand.
Yeah.
But now you can't watch a full football game because you're not used to seeing the lulls, which we're kind of used to before, and now you're not used to
Football
it
has
anymore.
a huge pacing problem. I mean, this is, I could make my jerk any week, the NFL, with the, with the huddling and it's like one meeting after another. Let's talk about this. The referees meet, the players meet, the coaches meet. Should we challenge it? Should we wait? Let's look. Let's wait. Let's watch a replay. Let's discuss. I don't know. Maybe the NFL always had it too, and maybe in this Snapchat age,
they started. There hasn't been a series where you have Snapchat. You have Snapchat, Ben?
No, of course not.
No, of course not. There hasn't been a series where there hasn't been either an official review, a plentiful of penalties, or some form of like timeout after timeout, or the refs don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And they started doing official reviews of every single touchdown now, which is fair, but it does because you get touchdown, you get review. You get extra point. You get and between that. There's a commercial.
All right, so
then you
here
get
we
another
go.
commercial. Then you get kickoff.
So here's what we're going to start. We're going to start with jerks because I'm
You're angry.
I'm angry and I got a new jerk. And my jerk is the pacing. Well, first of all, a jerk as always is John Fox and then others. Like John Fox is going to get it every year because you saw what happened in that game. John Fox is a jerk because I didn't see that game. I listened to it on the radio. And as I've said so many times, John Fox might be a great football coach because the Bears are going to win 8 games by the time this year over. 7, 8, 9. Now they'll lose their next 5, and I'll lose a lot of money. But he's so good. But it's just like buy him a watch, teach him to tell time, teach him one other thing. He'll win 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls if he learns to call a timeout on defense, or if he learns to value a possession. If he learns when to kick a field goal and when to go for a touchdown, because sometimes he goes for a touchdown when he should kick the field goal. So they won again. They beat the Packers in Green Bay. That was amazing. They could be good. They could be very good. And he's great. I'm not really knocking him, except one incompetent thing about it. But he's not my jerk of the week. The jerk of the week is the NFL for that pacing thing. Like, get it right. First of all, when Major League Baseball, I don't like replay in Major League Baseball. I didn't like it. I've grown to accept it. Obviously, they should get things right. And it's working okay. I mean, I don't like another 3-minute break in the middle of a game that takes too long to begin with. But they're at least aware of pacing in baseball, and they put that clock in. They move things along a little this year. In the NFL, why is the referee making this decision? Why literally is they're like, oh, was he out of bounds? Did he make the catch? Did he get both feet down before he made this crucial 3rd and 17 catch that could keep the game alive? And so what does the referee do? He literally thinks, well, you know what? I'm going to make the decision, but first I have to vote. And he goes into a freaking voting booth. He closed the curtain behind him. And he's like, let's see, municipal court judge, 3rd district. Why is he in a little voting booth? Like, call New York. Let the grown-ups in New York look at it, and then call him. Catch. Right? Baseball does it. They have a master control center. We need a giant central government in the NFL. We don't need power to the states. Let's remove the power. This is not a states' rights issue. Take the power from the officials on the field. He doesn't need to go into a booth. It's ridiculous. Make the decision. They look at it. He caught it. Catch. Next thing. Move on.
What is the?
Ben, I'm sorry, Ben.
They're buzzing him.
Ben,
Oh.
First of all, you're a fascist. This is ridiculous. My jerk this week was a previous Turk of the week for me, Mr. Landry Jones of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it may not necessarily even be his fault, but it goes all on him anyway because he's the man who comes in at the beginning of the second quarter. I mean, the first play of the second quarter after one of these pacing problems we have in the NFL of a 5-minute break between quarters, and the Steelers are about to kick a field goal. They come out with normal personnel. Then after the 5-minute break, they come back with different personnel. And Landry Jones is now the new holder when he's not the regular holder for field goals.
I was listening without sound. I saw the play, but I didn't realize he's not the regular holder.
So because the Seattle Seahawks are a professional football team with professional coaches and people up in the booth and actually professional players on the field, they went, hey, Landry Jones, the backup quarterback who played a few games this year while Roethlisberger was out, is holding. I don't think he's holding. So when they shifted into their fake field goal, Seattle shifts into a normal defense and says,
let's go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we saw this. So, of course, Landry Jones, after he does this, drops back. Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, the shotgun formation, he was like 12 yards off the ball.
He was so far.
It was so deep. It was so deep. Like, I was watching going, oh.
I was at a restaurant in Vegas, and we'd missed the play before, the third down play, and my friend says, 42-yard field goal or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And then we look up, and I go, I'm not kicking a field goal. They're punting. And I go, kind of punting. Right? Because he's like in this no man's land. He's like 9 yards deep. He's like not deep enough for a punt, but way too deep for a shotgun snap. And nobody's faked by this.
Not at all.
Are they pooch punting from the 27-yard line?
So Landry Jones is sitting back like a sitting duck, waiting. But this is where the twist happens. He drops back and throws a lofting pass. I'm like, well, someone must be wide open because this ball looks like a punt. Mm-hmm. He's throwing to left tackle Alejandro Villanueva.
He's one of the best receiving left tackles in the game.
He played tight end in college. He played some D-line, some O-line, but also, so now he's the starting left tackle for the Steelers. The man is the tallest man in the NFL. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
6'9", 340 pounds. So when he slips off the line, you can't see him.
That makes Brock Osweiler the second tallest man.
So what I noticed...
So once this huge human being slips out and starts to skirt around the side, maybe this professional Seattle defense will say, I don't know where that guy's going. He's too short for me to see. And so there's the lofting pass. The interception, of course, happens. I'm not going to get on the guy who tripped and fell on his face by himself.
Running. So they won the game, so it didn't matter, right?
But this did lead to Seattle's first touchdown, which, of course, I think changed the pace of the game. What they won by 7.
10-point swing. 10-point
Yeah,
swing. Look,
come on.
I don't mind the fake field goal. I mean, I think you should just go for it on 4th and 2 if you want to try a fake field goal. I mean, you're the Steelers. You have 3 of the most elite players in the NFL. 4 if you count Roethlisberger. By the way, I have a fantasy team that needed to win that has D'Angelo Williams, Antonio Brown, and Martavius Bryant, and the Steelers threw for nearly 500 yards. You'd think that I have a win locked up, but I don't have Marcus Wheaton. So therefore, I may not win. So Jeremy Lane intercepted that pass, but here's what I thought Jeremy Lane did. Jeremy Lane sees Villanueva go out there, and he's like, he moved away from him. He's like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like, this is gonna happen.
Go ahead. Oh yeah.
I don't want to cover too well
That's
for
right.
them to
Landry.
not try this.
That's right, Landry. No, he's wide open. You should throw to him. You should definitely. And he's like, oh my God, he's actually going to throw to this guy. And then I would score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And of course he
stumbled. So once I was blaming Landry for this, head coach Mike Tomlin actually let us know it was his fault. Let's see what he had to say after the game.
With -4 in turnovers, that's going to be difficult. We gave up some big plays on defense. That's part of it. I called a fake field goal that was unsuccessful. I own that. That's part of it. Just wanted to lean and give those guys an opportunity to take the points and maybe win it. I'm not going to get into that detail. I just told you I take responsibility for the play's failure, as I always do.
That's part of it. I called a bad fake field goal. That's part of it. So why ask me again, you asshole? Yeah, I told you it's my fault. It's part of it. I love frustrated coaches after games.
Yeah, frustrated.
Because then you get reporters that are asking the same question. I told you he thought he put it to rest. I take responsibility for that. That's my fault. I told you earlier. I take responsibility for that. That's my fault. Move on. That horrible play.
Right. That play. Right. Did not see. But it's just interesting because then they had 4th and like a yard at the 2 or 4th and goal at the 1.5, and they tried to. They could get a first down because they did an interesting thing. They tried to draw the Seahawks offside when it would have been half the distance to the goal, and I'm not sure the half the distance would have given them the first down. But then they would have been so close that Roethlisberger is almost impossible to keep him from getting a foot. So they might have been. But I just thought, go for it there. Once again, you have Bryant, you have Brown. Although they threw 500 yards, but what the Seahawks did was say, well, Marcus Wheaton can beat us, but these other guys won't. And Richard Sherman. A couple things about Richard Sherman. One, he's phenomenal, right? He is just all over you. You think those passes that we see Brown not only catch in stride, but frequently break and turn into 30, 40-yard gain or a touchdown. Sherman just knocks away. His hands get in there. Then he does what the great players do, which is he reinvents the game. Because on his interception where Bryant fell down, that was illegal contact. Because you know what Richard Sherman does? Contact illegally on every play. You know, I mean, he is super handsy. You know, and he's earned it, I guess, and the referees are letting him play. But I mean, and he's not hitting you 11 yards downfield, but he's hitting you 7, and his hands are on you. And he just can't get any. The Seahawks do. I guess they're willing to take those penalties. They are so aggressive, and it pays off. I'm not really criticizing them for it. I'm admiring how when UCLA basketball was at its best defensively under Ben Howland. I mean, you'd look afterwards, you'd be like, oh, they're a great aggressive defense, and I'd be like, he kicked him, and then he shoved him in the neck. That's why they stole it. You know, like Josh was like, oh, I got the ball. And it's like another coach is like, what is happening? How is that not a foul? But you play aggressive, you earn it. Okay, Jay.
I'll make it quick. Since 2010, Jeff Fisher sucks as a head coach. And
Yes,
I
he
hate
does.
this respected bullshit that goes around the NFL.
I don't know why you say 2010. There's an argument that it's forever.
Well, I wouldn't say
Mediocre.
Mediocre. But this is one of the funniest things to me is that you'll hear from other coaches in the league, from the likes of Belichick and Coughlin, the other respected coaches in the league, that this is a stand-up guy, a great, as Chris will say, a leader of men, but has no concept of the clock and can't figure out how to lead a team. But his tenure, he's got no Super Bowl appearance. Andy Reid's been in the
got one
Super Bowl.
appearance, right?
He's got I think he might have one appearance.
No, he lost to the Rams.
Yeah,
Yes.
in terms of Titans.
Andy
yards.
Reid has a better tenure, better record as a coach, and Andy Reid also sucks as a coach. Jeff Fisher since 2010 sucks. Yeah, and of course he went off in his press conference and he said you can kiss my ass, and he's frustrated, and the Rams have lost 4 straight. It's not a matter of effort.
Anyone implies that it's an effort issue, then they can kiss my okay? Because there's no effort problems with this team, okay? That's what happens when you lose 4 in a row. People say it's effort. Come to practice, watch this team play, and ask any other opponent or opposing coach. It's not an effort issue.
He might be right.
He's right about that.
He's probably right about that, but. He sucks. And I don't need to go into detail of it because his record reflects it. He's 33-48 since 2010. His winning percentage has dropped off significantly, 471 to 448 to 375 this year, if I'm correct. 4-7, if that's the right math.
4-7 is 364.
364. Thank you. Nice
Don't
math.
pretend you're not impressed.
I'm a little bit impressed with that. And then to get off Jeff Fisher's back, the Giants with a chance to really run away with the division. Making me the Turk of the week when we get to that for betting so much money on the Redskins to win on the money line. The Giants suck when it comes to, you suck too much. The Giants are atrocious when it comes to needing to win in the regular season to prove a point to the NFL. And instead, we get Eli Manning who throws 3 interceptions. He looks worse than his brother in some games, and he can look like an MVP, Super Bowl MVP in other games. Odell Beckham
when he
Jr.
plays
with a
the
nice catch,
Saints.
Right, he
That's not
throws
fair.
for 6 touchdowns, whatever the hell it is, he throws for 6 touchdowns, and it's infuriating being a Giants fan.
I'm sure it is.
There
I'm sure it is.
is no. We talk about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, like how great it must be to be a Patriots fan, which we'll get to in Turks. But it is impossible.
Well, it's a good thing New York fans have the Knicks to lean back on to be frustrated by, and also that they have the Mets to watch, and they don't have to be frustrated anymore.
You know
Just
what,
the
JR?
Giants.
You know what, JR? How are the Rams doing? How's USC's return to grace?
Looks good Saturday.
I'm gonna step on you a little bit, Jay. Other coaches like Jeff Fisher, and they think he's a good coach, and that does mean something. Like you can get bad luck for long periods of time where you don't have the right quarterback.
For 5 years?
Yeah, I think you can get it for 10 years. I can get it for 15.
When you have #1 picks and you have
I
a
got
great
it.
defense and you
there's-
have.
You can't make a case that probably first of all it wouldn't. I think you may have read the same thing in Shutdown Corner on Yahoo that he may keep his job just because the Rams are too preoccupied with figuring out where they're going to play to make a coaching change. So it might be easier just to leave Jeff Fisher as the coach. He has mediocre. His record for a long period of time. We have enough data in is mediocre. He's not terrible. He's clearly not terrible. He did take one team to the Super Bowl.
Since 2010, he's been terrible.
Yeah, well, they've been terrible. They haven't had a quarterback. They haven't, so every team that hasn't succeeded without a quarterback gets some degree of, that's why I won't use the S word. And I think you're right to just say the mediocrity has gone on for decades now with Jeff Fisher. The Giants are incredibly frustrating. Washington, first place in the NFC East. The NFC East, which is the new NFC South last year.
And what the Colts division?
The Colts division, yeah. So I still don't think Washington will win that division. I'd be amazed. But they are, I guess, better than they were supposed to be.
Sorry,
but
man.
they're still tough.
Washington's just getting the benefit of referees' calls because they enjoy them.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. All right, check out. That's our Turks clip. Check out our Jerks clip. That'll be posted as well. Thanks for watching.
Sports.